My name's Lauren Hartley. I'm a second year marketing and advertising student, and this is my consumer insight video presentation. My chosen organisation is Pretty Little Thing. Pretty Little Thing, or PLT as it is commonly known as, is a one-stop shop for trend-led women's clothing at cheap and affordable prices. They are favourably known for their vast range of women's clothing, footwear and accessories, providing inclusive ranges such as PLT Plus and PLT Shape. However, recently they have branched out, offering a beauty section to their website where they sell makeup, skincare, hair care and hairstyling tools. As well as that, they also collaborate with other brands, regularly allowing them to sell various other products such as hair extensions, false eyelashes and fake tan. They also offer a delivery service with all of their products. With PLT offering a variety of beauty and fashion products, it is clear that their target customers are female. They aim to target young women aged 16 to 24 with a catalogue of up to 20,000 items from apparel to footwear accessories. Since the company was co-founded in 2012, it has expanded year on year and it now operates internationally, including the US, Irish, Australian, Middle East, French and Canadian markets. As a whole, however, PLT falls in the fast fashion market, which has an estimated value of $31.4 billion just this year. Within the fast fashion market, there is a huge competition among PLT and other brands such as Missguided, ASOS and All Saints. PLT are taking the fast fashion market by storm and are consistently working their way up, attracting a minimum of £27.17 of revenue per second, which is roughly £14.87 profit. This sits them right at the top with fellow competitors such as ASOS with £86.63 of revenue per second. Throughout this presentation, I will be covering 4 different theories from 4 different topics. These include the functional theory of attitudes, the theory of instrumental conditioning, the social comparison theory, and Hull's drive reduction push theory. First off, I just wanted to introduce one of PLT's biggest competitors, ASOS. Throughout, I'll be making reference to ASOS whilst comparing different approaches and techniques from the 2 fast fashion brands. ASOS is a British online fashion and cosmetic retailer founded in London. Their target market is primarily young adults of all genders. The website sells over 850 brands as well as its own range of clothing and accessories and ships to 196 countries across Europe and the US. The functional theory of attitudes was developed by psychologist Daniel Katz. He explains that attitudes exist because they serve a certain function. The theory is a great way to help the marketers understand why consumers feel the way they do about certain brands. To put it simply, Katz proposes that if a persuasive message targets the reason why the consumer possesses an attitude on that subject, such messages will be more persuasive than if they target a different function. There are 4 different functions to the theory: utilitarian function, value expressive function, ego defensive function, and the knowledge function, all of which I will apply to PLT and highlight how the brand uses each function to gain insight with their consumers. The utilitarian function is based on the idea of expected rewards or to avoid punishment. Consumers seek maximum utility and value from their consumption. Most advertisements are consistent with the utilitarian function because they focus on the product's performance attributes or benefits. For example, Pretty Little Thing pride themselves on their inclusivity and plus-size range of clothing. This is why in 2018 they released their skin advertisement.
PrettyLittleThing.com.
The advertisement included plus-size models and encouraged the idea of feeling body positive. During the past 5 years, the body positivity and fat acceptance movements have grown popular, with multiple brands extending their size ranges. Therefore, it is a clear vast number of consumers feel strongly about body image and inclusivity. In the eyes of a consumer, shopping with PLT is an expected reward as the brand promotes plus-size models and offers inclusive products that allow their consumers to feel positive and confident in their items. With 54% of women aged 18 to 40 unhappy with their body, by PLT promoting bigger sizes in a confident and beautiful way, it allows their consumers to feel rewarded and view the brand in a positive light. Consumers are much more likely to form positive or negative attitudes towards a product or brand if they meet or don't meet their needs, and quite clearly, PLT are helping over 50% of females across the UK feel more positive about themselves. Similarly, ASOS also joined brands such as Pretty Little Thing by promoting body inclusivity. In 2017, ASOS began featuring untouched images of models in swimwear exposing things like stretch marks. This gained a huge positive reaction from consumers and ultimately promoted sales due to the positive, rewarding feeling consumers achieved by shopping with an inclusive brand. The value expressive function is the drive to express important aspects of the self. It is served by attitudes that demonstrate one's self-image to others. Products that appeal to this function of attitude have the ability to impact on a person's self-concept and identity through its purchase. Some products can also serve multiple attitude functions. For example, Pretty Little Thing in their second skin clothing range not only falls under the utilitarian function for its body positivity and meeting consumer needs, but it also falls under value expressive. This is because not only does the product make consumers feel confident, but it is also extremely stylish and on-trend and allows consumers to fit in with current fashion trends within society. 83% of consumers said that people were more attractive when paired with stylish clothing, therefore highlighting that clothing products contribute towards one's self-concept. PLT will benefit massively off the value expressive function as their products allow consumers to remain on trend at all times, particularly as they are renowned for being a successful fast fashion brand which reassures consumers that they are the place to be when looking for the latest fashion trends. However, ASOS will in fact benefit more from the value expressive function in comparison to Pretty Little Thing. ASOS have a wider variety of products than PLT, some of which are branded like Barbour, Hugo Boss, Calvin Klein, etc. With branded clothing coming status, most consumers invest in designer brands because they like how others perceive them due to clothes they are wearing. Therefore, consumers who aim to impress others with a product such as clothing are more likely to shop at ASOS due to the value and social credibility that comes with their products. Brands such as Hugo Boss take years to build status, which is something PLT cannot compete with. The ego defensive function refers to holding attitudes that protect a consumer's self-esteem or that justify actions that make us feel guilty. For example, PLT donated profits to mental health charities following the death of TV presenter Caroline Flack. The online retailer donated 100% of its profits from their latest edit with Molly May to the charity Mind. This great act of kindness not only engages consumers with their brand and encourages consumers to buy their products for a good cause, but it also provides PLT with a great look going forward. When consumers are looking for a new item of clothing and they deliberate with which online retailer to go to, because PLT are now known for supporting charities, consumers are more likely to buy from them due to their goodwill, which resonates with fellow consumers. This function is especially beneficial to Pretty Little Thing as the brand's environmental rating is considered not good enough, and therefore other positive acts of kindness, such as donating to charity, is a great way to prove to consumers that the brand has good intentions. Similarly, ASOS have the ASOS Foundation, where they contribute money, resources and expertise to long-term charity partners such as the Prince's Trust. It is extremely important brands, particularly in fast fashion, give back to the community as fast fashion has a very negative connotation among some consumers as it is the second largest polluter of clean water globally. So by doing good and helping others, consumers can regain their social status and manipulate consumers by feeding them the positive, allowing them to feel good about buying from a brand because they know they are supporting a brand that aids charity work. The knowledge function allows consumers to predict what is likely to happen and so gives us a sense of control. It refers to brand knowledge and attitudes that the consumer already has, which allows for simplified consumer decision-making. With Pretty Little Thing only being founded in 2012, it is fair to say that they have taken the market by storm as they are named the fastest-growing online retailer in 2017. This is a great example of the knowledge function as young consumers already consider Pretty Little Thing as their go-to online supplier for all things fashion, generating vast amounts of brand loyalty across younger female consumers. That being said, Pretty Little Thing go to great lengths to get their names out there. When appealing to the knowledge function of attitudes, it takes time and persistence, and a large part of it involves educating the consumer about the brand through marketing communications. Pretty Little Thing use guerrilla marketing techniques to make a bold statement and get people talking about their name and products. For example, the brand released their infamous PLT cars and taxis across the streets of Manchester, which got heads turning. This is a great way to generate exposure, and ultimately consumers will use the knowledge function subconsciously when buying from PLT due to the buzz and press around their name. Although Pretty Little Thing have a loud and consistent marketing approach, particularly on social media, ASOS are the perfect example of knowledge function. Founded in 2000, they have 12 years on Pretty Little Thing and are well known among a variety of consumers, not just young females. In the past 20 years, ASOS have been building a reputation with consumers, creating brand loyalty through top quality products and fast delivery service, so much so that ASOS gain £27.44 more than PLT in revenue each second. From July 2013 right up until July 2018, consumer consideration has been on the increase year after year, with 65% of 18 to 49-year-olds considering ASOS when making their new purchase. This highlights just how significant the knowledge function is when it comes to consumer buying decisions, as evidently, consumers much prefer to invest in a brand they are familiar with and hold trust in. The operant conditioning theory comes from B.F. Skinner, and this was his idea that desired behaviour is learned over a period of time via a system of rewards and punishments. There are 4 types of operant conditioning: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, extinction, and punishment. There are 2 ways to interpret operant conditioning, either to stop a behaviour or continue on. A great example of positive reinforcement would be Pretty Little Thing encouraging consumers to set up an account and become PLT royalty. This ultimately puts you on the PLT system, where you can receive exclusive discounts and early access links to the latest clothing edits. This is a great example of PLT rewarding positive behaviour and ultimately prompting consumers to shop again and remain engaged in PLT activity in order to reap the benefits. The behaviour will be repeated because rewards and positive outcomes are awaiting them. Alternatively, negative reinforcement is when people carry on a behaviour or start a behaviour in order to avoid negative consequences. For example, PLT play on the idea that girls never have anything to wear. This is a huge trend among girls, and Pretty Little Thing know exactly how to play on it. The idea of a consumer feeling stressed and upset about having nothing to wear is the negative consequence, and PLT swoop in and resolve the situation with their next day delivery and what to wear section on their website. PLT provide a solution to a problem most young girls have encountered before, and this is dependence, what keeps consumers returning back to PLT for more. Extinction is the 3rd type of operant conditioning. This is when consumers stop doing something so the behaviour the consumer previously had no longer exists. This often comes from positive reinforcement. For example, Pretty Little Thing offer PLT royalty, which is where consumers pay an upfront fee of £7.99 to receive free next day delivery for a year. The free next day delivery can be considered a positive reinforcement. Although paying for it, consumers are saving a lot of money for a top quality service that usually would have cost a lot more. However, the royalty only lasts a year, and therefore when consumers' time is up, the royalty expires and so do the benefits. Due to consumer behaviour no longer being rewarded, this will prompt a lot of consumers to explore other fast fashion retailers and see what competing brands offer instead, potentially swapping retailers going forward. Finally, the final type is punishment. If a consumer is penalised by something, then they will learn to stop. Usually, things like a parking fine are a great way to punish consumers to then put a stop to behaviour such as parking on double yellows. However, when referring to Pretty Little Thing, they can't exclusively punish a consumer without tarnishing consumer relationship. The brand has, however, made negative digs at competitors in an attempt to alter consumer opinion to work in PLT's favour and stop consumers investing elsewhere. For example, this year PLT's competitors Misguided released a documentary which aired at 9 p.m. every Monday night. At this exact time, PLT sent out a notification that stated, "Not feeling what you're watching on TV? Girl, who can blame you?" In an attempt to promote their new in styles. Although PLT are not aiming to punish their consumers, they are projecting a negative outlook on their competitors, therefore manipulating loyal consumers and potentially turning them against brands like Misguided in an attempt to stay loyal to PLT and continue to buy from them and them only. When considering punishment, you could also highlight PLT's returns policy. PLT are happy to accept returns within a 15-day period. However, anything after that, consumers will not receive their refund. A consumer will feel frustrated to not receive money back on an unwanted item and therefore not make the same mistake again. However, by PLT implementing this rule, it allows consumers to get their returns in early and allows PLT to run smoothly in a professional manner. Overall, ASOS follow a similar suit as PLT under the operational theory. Under positive reinforcement, ASOS also have a premium membership which offers fast delivery and exclusive offers. Under negative reinforcement, ASOS take a much different approach due to their diverse market. ASOS are a great brand that are quick to adapt to current negative situations and alleviate uncomfortable or distressing circumstances. For example, in July 2020, when the streets were filled with protesters regarding the Black Lives Matter movement, as such a sad time, ASOS were able to get on board and shine light on the situation, making the best out of a bad situation by donating money to relevant charities and showing support across all social media platforms. The social comparison theory is the idea that we determine our own social and personal worth based on how we stack up against each other. It was introduced by Leon Festinger, and he says that marketers influence their target consumers' self-esteem by triggering the self-comparison process. For example, individuals with low self-esteem tend to have low self-confidence and will avoid products or brands that put them at risk of embarrassment. Pretty Little Thing go out of their way to ensure their consumers do not feel embarrassed when wearing their products, hence their inclusive ranges such as PLT Curve and PLT Plus. PLT recognises that over 54% of women feel extremely insecure and unhappy with their bodies, and therefore aim to make women feel confident and empowered in their clothing. This ultimately is a great opening for PLT to build on consumer relationships. The more positive response a consumer has toward a brand, the more likely they are to make return purchases and spread positive word of mouth. It is believed that within the fast fashion industry that thin models create an ideal that if the consumer buys the same clothes as the model, the consumer will therefore look equally as good. Hence why PLT predominantly have slim, pretty models showcasing their items in an attempt to push sales and entice consumers to buy. However, this strategy is becoming much more outdated as most women simply do not share the same physique. Brands such as PLT are adapting to their current market by becoming more inclusive of all shapes and sizes in order to create a more positive relationship with their consumer. This in particular is extremely evident in PLT's 2019 International Women's Day campaign. The social media movement created their own hashtag #EverybodyInPLT, championing inclusive fashion and encouraging women across the globe to embrace themselves. The collection's promotional video gained over 1 million views in just 72 hours, highlighting just how positively PLT's market responded to a body-positive campaign. Similarly to PLT, ASOS value inclusivity just as much. ASOS are able to recognise a shift in the market as consumers no longer adhere to societal restraints but instead wish to express themselves freely. With PLT's target market being predominantly young females, body image would definitely be up there with the problem we're tackling when it comes down to clothing. However, with ASOS their market is a lot more diverse and in turn created an ad that assured its consumers to be whoever they want to be and promote body confidence and self-acceptance in a fun light. Throughout both of the ads, both brands have used a diverse range of people to ensure their ad is inclusive to all consumers, and both promote self-esteem advertising as they steer away from the outdated, conventional, idealised images that Festinger highlights from the 50s. Endless ways to be you. Go play. The final theory we'll be discussing today is the drive reduction or the push theory by Hull 1943. This theory focuses on consumer needs that produce unpleasant states of arousal. For example, if a stomach grumbles, one feels hungry. Consumers therefore become motivated to reduce tension and return to homeostasis, which is the feeling of balance. It is well known that marketers often aim to create false arousal through senses to drive consumers' motivation. For example, PLT do exactly this in their email marketing campaigns. PLT will personalise a subject saying, "The party doesn't start till you show up, Beth," triggering a sense of panic from either a potential forgotten event or the fear of missing out. By not only personalising the email but using rhetorical questions and statements, it grabs consumer attention, triggering a response, and at the very least will visit the email and open it up out of curiosity. Consumers that are receiving these emails will already be subscribed to their email list and ultimately have an underlying interest. This fear of missing out will trigger the consumer, and in order to reach homeostasis, they will have to check out their latest new items in order to relax and either buy desired items or none at all. We can also relate this to the idea of retail therapy. This is the idea that the consumer will spend money and buy items in an attempt to improve buyer mood or disposition. The consumer has an initial want or need, and therefore shopping on PLT would reduce the tension and return consumers back to homeostasis. It is also worth mentioning that consumers have multiple alternatives when it comes to choosing a retailer to aid in reducing their tension. From ASOS to Misguided, consumers could look anywhere, and therefore PLT's email marketing is a great way to create arousal and then resolve it at the same time. If the consumer were to do as expected and visit PLT, ultimately purchasing multiple items, which in turn they felt good and looked good in, this would be considered successful behaviour and is likely to be repeated again. Similarly, ASOS use a similar approach. Both brands have a strong email marketing campaign, however ASOS implement the use of a countdown within their emails, which can add further tension to a consumer and potentially drive them to take more of an interest in their items due to the pressure added by the ticking clock. PLT use direct rhetorical questions to add pressure on a customer, whereas ASOS have introduced the concept of a timer approach, which makes consumers feel on edge, almost like they have no time as if it's running out, and feel more pressure to make a purchase. As a whole, PLT are a fast-growing inclusive brand that are making countless efforts to maintain their consumer relationships through positive reinforcement, engaging every person in their brand. Pretty Little Thing understand their consumers on a much more personal level by engaging under the utilitarian function and the ego-defensive function under the functional theory of attitudes, where they promote inclusivity and a positive body image. They have developed top-quality ads that have gained positive insight from consumers and have positioned them at the top of the market with heavy competitors such as ASOS, who they clearly do well rivaling against. Overall, Pretty Little Thing incorporate multiple theory and concepts throughout their marketing efforts. For such a young brand, they do extremely well to stay ahead within their fast fashion industry, and it is clear consumers are at the foothold of most of their decision making.